Welcome in this new how-to. As you might have seen in the previous how-to, we configured a flight plan to fly from one of the airports in Dubai to another one. So in-country airport, the official country or the official name from the destination airport was Maktoum International Airport. So currently we're still at the fuel spot. We just refueled. So the flight plan is already configured in the flight plan. The navigation has been set up, right? So the target ILS has been set up. So we're going to do an ILS approach, or at least we're going to try to do that. So we're ready for, I would say, takeoff. So we're going to ask permission to take off. So we're going to contact ground control and ask, or actually we're going to ask clearance. Let me see.
Dubai clearance delivery Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra IFR to Oscar Mike Delta Whiskey ready to copy.
I'm gonna fly IFR, so not VFR but IFR.
X-ray Golf Sierra is cleared to Oscar Mike Delta Whiskey Airport as filed.
Altitude 12,000 feet. Squawk 4107. So we need to acknowledge it, and then we're gonna check a few things. So
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra cleared to Oscar Mike Delta Whiskey Airport is filed.
Let me first let the auto or the co-pilot do his wording.
Departure on ONE 21.025 squawk 4107.
So you can see that the transponder has been set to 41. So I'll be restart. So the transponder has been set to 4107. So if you want to do that yourself, you can also do that by pressing the XPDR button, then hit the code button or the identifier button, then pushing the numbers and then hit back twice. Don't forget to also put it to on, because else it will not be switched on and it will not be sent. And then air traffic control could say, hey, please validate the transponder code, etc. So we've done that, and we're sending the CDI to GPS. We're gonna configure the altitude to be the one which we were instructed to do. So that was 12,000 feet. It's a little bit high for a short flight, but let's follow it. Right, if you don't want to fly those heights, you can simply use VFR, so visual flight. So we're gonna set it to 12,500. Gonna switch on the flight director. That will also switch on these ping parks, as you can see. Right, so switch it off again, switch it on. Which will make sure that we're doing, I would say, a stable climb, not too far. Once we're airborne, we will switch on autopilot, switch on the heading, because we're gonna use the GPS navigation. We're gonna switch on the flight control mode and leave the autopilot do its work. But I will explain that once we're airborne. First, we need to ask permission to taxi.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra with Alpha ready to taxi IFR.
So let's see if we can get permission.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra taxi to and hold short of runway ONE 2 left by a taxiway Victor
runway 30.
Kilo 10 cross runway 30 left Mike 12 Bravo Mike 1 Alpha Mike 1. Contact tower on 118.75 when ready.
So you can see we need to take a different route, right? So we gonna use runway 12.
Short runway ONE 2 left via taxiway Victor 2 Kilo 10 cross runway 30 left Mike 12 Bravo Mike 1 Alpha Mike 1 Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra.
So we're gonna use 12 Lima as the runway. We need to follow a specific pattern to come to the airport, right? V, then V2. Then K10, then cross runway 30L, then 12B, etc. So we need to follow those signs. But if you're not familiar with that, you can also do another thing, and that's in the assistance options. You can go to piloting. it was, no, sorry, it was on a navigation aids, and you can switch on the taxi ribbon, which will switch on a blue line, which will help you identify where you need to go to. And as you can see, it's already here, right? So let me turn a bit. So this indicates the path we need to follow. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go inside the aircraft. Then we have a little bit of a challenge. Officially, we probably need to ask for a pushback because we can't make the turn here, right? So we can make a turn to the left, maybe. Normally you would crash, but for some reason crash simulation has not been added to Flight Simulator always. Sometimes you can drive 2 buildings, but in normal circumstances you would request for a pushback, and then once you've got the pushback you can make the correct turn and follow the route to the runway. So we'll take some time because we probably need to travel a lot before we're there at the designated runway. So let's enjoy the sightseeing of the airport. And here you can also see the boards which were referred to right on the left side, so we were going a little bit too fast. You can see the boards which were mentioned by the tower, which will instruct you how to travel from, I would say, the fuel depot to the runway. Once I'm seeing one again, I will stop the aircraft and show you. So here you can see one on the left side, right? So on the left side you can see one. Here it is on the left side. You can see the I would say navigation boards to navigate your way to the airport. But since we're using the navigation aid to add the runway or the taxi route, we will leave it as is. I've seen some larger aircraft, sorry. I think it's the A320, if I'm correct. And there's the arrival halls with all the gates for the large aircrafts on the left side. And in the left top corner you can see the tower, if I'm correct. So let's decrease throttling a bit, decrease speed because we need to make a turn. If you now would look at the outside of the aircraft, you will see that we're going via 2 wheels, right? So we're now at runway 30L, which we needed to cross to reach the runway 12 Lima. You can also see it because of the points of interest which are enabled. You can switch them off if you want, but those are also indicating where we need to go to. So 12 Lima is already there. I'm gonna follow this taxiway to our starting point, and you can see there are some other persons, some other, I would say, colleague flight simmers also active. There's one standing on the looks like on the runway, which we also need to use. That's why it's also always important to contact the tower if you're allowed to take off, yes or no. In some cases they will say, okay, hey, just wait a few minutes, and once you get approval, do it. So try to follow those I would say those instructions to not prevent other simmers from coming into difficult situations. We're almost there. Oh, that was misled by the blue lights. There you see the tower also. And some larger aircrafts at the left and right side, right? So we're just a small aircraft compared to the other ones. So I think we're almost at the end, or at the start of the runway. At the end of the taxiway, but at the beginning of the runway. So we're almost there, so let's switch to the tower. Brake a little bit. Like a little bit more. And then we will wait here. And then we will request clearance before driving on the runway.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra ready for IFR departure runway ONE2 left.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra cleared for takeoff runway ONE2 left.
Cleared for takeoff runway ONE2 left Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra.
So we got permission, so then we can continue. We've come to remove the parking brakes. And there it is, the runway which we need to use. So I'm gonna make our turn. So before we're taking off, you can decide to drop the flaps, right? So which will increase with the options to, let's say, go airborne a little bit easier. Depending on if you're using a joystick or a keyboard, you can. The keyboard is press the F7 key once. Depending on the joystick you have, if you've got a throttle, it's in most cases it's a button at the front of the joystick, and here you can see the flaps moving. So we're good. So let's go full throttle and let's take off from Dubai International Airport. A little bit steering. Let's pull back a bit. So normally what you can do is you can, I would say, directly make a turn, or you can wait a bit because you first want to pass or be over the end of the runway. This might be a good point.
121.025 for Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
So I'm going to contact departure.
Departure Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is climbing through 1,100 feet for 12,000 feet.
So
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra departure continue to jump right as planned. Altimeter 29.76.
So and to do that, to reset the altitude, you can, or reset the altimeter, you can press the letter B, and you can see that the number on the right side where it shows the altitude, it will change now to 77, which is fine for me. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna switch on the autopilot. So we're gonna press the AP button, press the nav button, press the FLC button, and what you will see now happening is that the aircraft will start to turn, right? Because we need, if we go to the right side of the screen, we are I would say, going from OMDB to Jumra, which is 7 miles, so it's not a lot. We're still climbing. You can also see it on the left side. So this is the target altitude. You can see that the FLC option, so the flight command option, is switched on, which uses this target speed. So it will try to use this speed to and maintain this speed while climbing. And we're continuously climbing. We're almost at 4,000 feet. Caution is there because pilot heat is not switched on. But yeah, we don't care because it's probably pretty warm in Dubai, so it's not needed. So we leave the airplane climbing. We'll leave the autopilot do its work, and we're enjoying the flight. So I will go on mute for some minutes, so don't expect any audio. I will go off mute again once I see something. So enjoy the flight. Maybe you have seen it, maybe not, but we forgot to, let's say, pull in the landing gear. So you can press the letter G on the keyboard or use one of the buttons on your joystick to do that. And you can see that it initially also shows it as an alert in the systems, but that's fine for now. Some other things about say the lights, right? So you can see currently we only switched on the navigation light, but during flight it's recommended to switch on, or I think it's even mandatory to switch on the strobes and the beacons. The panel is not really necessary for now, only if you fly during the night. Taxi and landing is in most cases.
You are 20 miles northeast. Keep speed below 185 knots. Expect ILS runway 30 approach via Gexic transition. Cleared to Gexic.
So we're gonna say okay. We're gonna just press 2 because we want to take another approach.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra, roger.
Because we want to use ILS runway 3 or 12, sorry. So it's now instructed us to do some else, so let's first fix that piece. So we're gonna 3000, right? So and then we're gonna select another approach, number 2, and then we're gonna select the number 3. And then we're gonna request the approach.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra would like ILS runway ONE2 approach vectors to final.
Doesn't react yet.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra, please expedite your descent to 3,000 feet.
Yeah, we're not descending. So to do that, you can press the VS button and then say nose down. And then using the nose down and nose up options in the VS, you can let's say set the descent rate. So in this case, we're descending with 900 feet per minute.
Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra would like ILS runway ONE to approach vectors to final.
Still gonna ask it. Looks like that they don't want to answer, so we will ignore them for now. Not sure if that's... Normally I would expect an answer from them, but looks like they don't want to answer. So in the meantime, you can see that we already bypassed Jumra and Mogav, and we're flying to the skydive from the skydive airport. We're coming very close to the palm tree island. And you can see it here in the top left, right? So we use these buttons. And since we're descending, we don't really need the flaps, so you can pull the flaps to the default option. And during the landing, we will use them. So let's see, because you can also see that the speed goes a little bit too fast, right? So we're gonna decrease speed a bit, because the flight is air traffic control instructed us not to go above 185 knots, and that's also something you can do with the autopilot in some of the airplanes. In some of the airplanes you can say, okay, hey, I want to not go faster than 185 knots in this case. But for now we will leave it. Because we just switched on the flight control modes, right? So it doesn't continue to descend. So there's something you need to keep in mind, right? So if you press the flight control mode on and switch on the vertical mode, it sometimes requires some options to switch on and switch off, because it's also now not descending, as you can see. And that sometimes is frustrating. So in that case, we will help the airplane a bit. So we're going to switch off. Well, it looks like that can't imagine that we're not descending. Let me see what's going on here, because I don't like it. Let's switch on altitude mode.
Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra, contact Emirates Center on OME24.85.
So we need to
Going to OME24.85 Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
So
Climb and maintain 10,000 feet, Egypt Air 913.
So you can see that the autopilot doesn't follow the actual instructions, right? So it goes to
Emirates Center Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is at 7,200 feet, descending
let me see
3,000
what's
feet.
going to do.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra, X-Ray Golf Sierra and Emirates Center. Continue to get as planned. Altimeter 29.77. Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra contact departure on OME21.025.
So we're making some turns. Yeah, it looks like that this display is simply frozen. You can see, because here it still displays this information. This data is being updated. This data is not being updated.
Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra acknowledge last
let me do that.
121.025 Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra.
So and this is where the I would say old navigation systems or altitude meter will help us, right? This will also show us the altitude we're at, and here you can clearly see that we're
Departure Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray
not
Golf
at the
Sierra
altitude
is at
which is
6,300
displayed here.
feet, descending 3,000 feet.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra departure continue to get as planned. Altimeter 29.77.
Now it's starting to update again. You see? So this is. I'm gonna engage the autopilot. No, we don't want to. We want to go to 3,000 feet. So it's bringing us back to the path which we want to be at, and then we'll make a left turn to Nitri.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra, please expedite your descent to 3,000 feet.
So then, change the climb, or change the descent rate, so you can see that it's automatically, let's say, leveraging or leveling the airplane out. So we'll now go to 600, so that's fine. Heading is, I'm gonna switch to navigation mode. And that are two different, right? So heading mode will simply keep the heading which you set up here, and the navigation mode will use the GPS in our case.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra, please expedite your descent to 3,000 feet.
It will continue to ask us to do that, so don't worry. I've seen that happening multiple times. It just wants you to descend. If it keeps saying that, then you're probably a little bit too high compared to what air traffic control expects. You can see some cruise ships, and you can see Palm Island. I'm not sure if it's number 1 or number 2, but you can see, say, the second one. We already visited the previous one, and if you look in the left side, you can see the important tower, or the famous towers of Dubai. You can see them here. So that's good. So let's go inside the airplane again. And you can see it is now taking the expected path again. So that's good. The expected path. And we're flying to Nitri. So we'll go on mute for some minutes. We'll come back when there's some news to report. So back again, and you can see that we're approaching the configured altitude, and you can see that it automatically changes the descent rate. So we're not going too far below our configured altitude. So that's everything which the airplane does automatically when you're using the autopilot, right? So let's repeat myself. So the autopilot option can be switched on by this option. Flight director takes a let's say climb or descent rate in a, let's say, a very small angle, but at least ensures that you're descending or climbing. Then you've got the heading button, which can be controlled by the button here, and is you can, once you change, let me turn the buttons, you will see that these values will change. So if you set it to, for example, 5 degrees, you press this button, it will go to 5 degrees, so we'll change this until you're at 5 degrees and we'll follow that course. The altitude button can be used to switch on the altitude hold mode. So for example, if you want to fly at 3000 feet and you're already there, you can push this button and it will continue to stay at that specific altitude. The navigation button, as discussed, it will follow the CDI mode configured. In this case we are using GPS, so we're gonna switch to nav mode later on, or VOR mode, sorry, to use the ILS. Then you've got VNV mode, and the VNV mode can be used if you've got a flight plan where you configured altitudes, so it will make sure that it's at the correct altitude when it reaches a specific waypoint. We didn't use it in this flight plan, but you can use it of course. Then the approach button, and the approach button, we will use it to capture the ILS signal and make sure that we're following the glide path. The back course, if you have configured navigation frequency on the opposite side of the let's say of the runway, you can use the BC button, and then it will take that into account. So it will, I would say, inverse it. So let's pull, or let's decrease throttling a bit in the meantime. The virtual speed, as already seen, you can use it to either, let's say, descend or increase the altitude, and using the mouse up and down button.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra, you are 15 miles northwest. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors ILS runway ONE to approach. Circle to land runway 30. Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra, you are 14 miles northwest of Oscar Mike Delta Whiskey. Maintain present heading and altitude. Contact tower on 118.625.
So I'm gonna switch
Maintain
to
present
contact
heading
the
and
tower.
altitude. Tower on 118.625. Beechcraft X-ray Golf
Now we
Sierra.
made a big mess of it.
Runway 12 approach. Tower Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra 14 miles northwest inbound ILS runway ONE to approach. Circle to land runway 30. Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra contact departure on 121.025.
So then we're almost there, right? So we're gonna skip these buttons for now and press the VOR button, right? It does it automatically in most cases. So now has switched to the localizer, and the localizer will be used, say, to approach the runway correctly and make sure that we're using the expected runway. So you can still, I would say, go from the nav mode to the approach mode, right? But what we're now going to do is we're going to switch on the approach mode, so make sure that the airplane is correctly aligned. Then we're gonna switch on the localizer mode. We're gonna push the approach, and then this one will turn to green. You can see now this also turns to green, and that means it captured the glide scope. And what you will automatically see is that the plane starts to descend. So we're gonna push throttling a little bit back, and this green, I would say, square is showing you if you're having the correct light scope. So if it's in the middle, then you're perfect. If it's not in the middle, then you're less than perfect, right? So either you're too high or too low. So let's switch to normal view now. So it's descending, as you can see. So it has captured the glide scope. I think it's a little bit too far to the left, but let's see what happens. And you can see that if you switch on the approach mode, it will automatically switch off the nav mode. It will continue to descend. So in normal cases where you would do the approach, we can get to here. Right, so we can see, okay, hey, we're at the final stage. You can decrease throttling, and what you can do is put the flaps to full. You can do it either by pressing the F8 button or using the joystick. But let's not do that for now. We're not there yet, right? So we're still descending. And if you miss the approach, then you can either say missed approach or missed approach published. Then it will make a record that, hey, you did a missed approach. So you will need to do something else. It's stalling. And if it's stalling, then we need to increase speed a bit, because then we're going too slow. So as you can see here, the I say the POI information point will already show us, hey, we're at 5 miles from the airport. And here in the visual view, you can also see the airport, right? So here you can see the runway, which we're gonna use. So if we switch to the right side, yeah. So we're gonna switch on the landing lights. Also switch on the panel lights, because it's becoming a little bit dark. Taxi lights, we can switch them on. Go to the default view. So you can see the aircraft is still descending. So we're gonna drop flaps to full. As mentioned, you can do it either by pressing the F8 key or your joystick. And that's to, let's say, to decrease the speed of the aircraft. And here you can see the runway. You can even see the cars driving. So it does not automatically land the aircraft, right? So that's what you need to understand. So you need to do some part yourself. So we're gonna switch it off for now. I'm gonna increase speed a bit. It says stalled and it's not good. And you can keep an eye on the visual system. I think we switched off the channel a little bit or the approach mode a little bit too early. So we're now not at the correct pace, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna increase throttling. I'm gonna decrease the flaps. We're gonna do, as we call it, missed approach. And we're gonna give it another try. So we're gonna call it a missed approach.
Departure Departure Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra flying the Oscar Mike Delta Whiskey ILS runway ONE2 published missed approach. Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Roger. Flight published missed approach. Advise reaching 3,000 feet for further instructions.
So we need to fly at 3,000 feet. So we're gonna set it up. What was it? 3,000 feet. So let the airplane take corrective measurements. Then we're going to request
Departure Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra
the vectors to the next waypoint.
Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra turn left heading ONE25.
So this is where we're going to use the
Turn left heading ONE25 Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
buttons. So to do it a little bit quicker, you can do it like this, and then say, what was it? 1, 2, 5, I think, and then press the heading button. So I'm gonna report finished.
Departure Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra published missed approach ILS runway ONE2 at 2,900 feet. Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra, you are 4 miles southeast. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors ILS runway ONE2 approach. Circle to land runway 30. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors ILS runway ONE2 approach. Circle to land runway 30. Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
So as you saw, there was some radio navigation going on. So we need to change the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the flight plan option. And we're going to push the button, and then we're going to activate this lag. And once we've done that, we can press the nav button normally. It doesn't do it in this case. So let's request the vectors again.
Departure Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting vector to next waypoint.
I think it was a little bit too early. It's making the turn.
Turn left heading 325 Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do, let's say, a second try. We're gonna fly to Nitri. It will take us some time to come there, and then we're gonna do a second try of the approach. So let's see if we can make it a little bit better this time, because this, let's say, this approach was kind of going well until we were very close to the runway, and then it went completely wrong. So I will go mute, and then once we're at Nitri again, I will come off mute again. In the meantime, enjoy the flight. Scenery is a little bit dark for now, as you can see. So So if you would like left now. So press the external view button. Then we will be able to see the airport there, right? So it's on the right side. And as mentioned, we're on our way to Nitri. And once we're at Nitri, we're gonna do the second try for the approach. In some cases it's easier to use the external view, like this, to make the landing. But I prefer to do it from within the aircraft, because I think that's the most realistic thing, right? Because normal pilots also can't step out of the airplane and watch if they're, say, correctly aligned to the runway. So we can see where we are currently. So Nitri is some. It's a little bit further. So Nitri is here. We're currently here. So it takes us some miles, and so that's also what you can see here. So it's 14 miles from our current location. But we're coming there. It's 6 o'clock local. See, the sun has just gone down, so it's like you can see some other colleague sim flyers also flying in the same region. On the left side not too much, on the right side there is. So let's see when traffic control reaches out to us. So let's
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra contact approach on OMDW 20.4.
probably they have heard us.
Going to OMDW 20.4 Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra.
So I'm gonna switch to approach.
Approach Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra 3,000 feet.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra, X-ray Golf Sierra approach, continue as planned. Altimeter 29.77.
You can see that the altimeter is still set correct, so 2977. Looks like something is broken in the last update, because these indicators don't make a lot of sense, because it shows here it's 5 and here it shows a different value. So having the idea that sometimes some parts of the GUI are frozen, but not a problem as long as it flies the correct route, that's okay. And that's also something we can do, right? So what you can do from the flight plan, if you hit the flight plan button, press the button, say instead of this one, it's pretty hard hard to see. I want to make this one active, so press the active flag here, and then it will make this flag active. So in this case, what has now been done is that the active flag has been changed, so we can leave the navigation mode on, and it, instead of going to Nitri, it will go to this one, which is a little bit closer, which is also fine. Save some time.
Beechcraft, X-ray Golf, Sierra contact departure on ONE21.025.
So we can contact departure.
121.025 Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra. Departure Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra 3,000 feet. Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra departure continue as planned. Altimeter 29.77.
So we're allowed to take the approaches we had in our head. So we're almost, not almost, probably. Let me have a look. We're going pretty close to Pushfo, which is here. And then once we're at Pushfo, we can fly to DW661. And then switch on the approach button again. And give it a second try to do a correct landing. So it's making final turn to the right. See that Pushfo is now being marked off and that the next part is being marked as active, so DW661. So let's reduce speed a bit. So I want to ensure that we're correctly aligned to the way. Wrong side. So the airplane will start to make some final turns. And once we are at DW661, we will press the approach button. Let's do it. Let's make the final turn. I think it's pretty good now. So press the approach button. Let's see if it can capture the glide scope. In this case it hasn't, because we didn't switch to a localizer button. So you see, sometimes it switches automatically, sometimes you need to do it manually to make sure that it's following the correct path. But currently we're too high and it doesn't take the corrective measurement. So let's do it a different way in this case. Let's see. Let's give the final try. If it doesn't work, we're gonna do it different. Yep. So we're gonna do it manually, because it looks like ILS didn't want to help us in this scenario. So that's also something you need to take in mind, right? So sometimes the glide scope isn't correctly detected. In most cases that's because you're switching it on too late or something else is going wrong. So we're gonna...
X-ray Golf Sierra, you are 700 feet below your assigned altitude. Climb and maintain 3,000 feet, altimeter 29.77.
Why does it say that?
Climb and maintain 3,000 feet, Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra.
Probably it doesn't want us to do this.
Departure Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra requesting vector to next waypoint. Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra, turn left heading 350.
350.
Turn left heading 350 Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra.
Gonna switch on the autopilot again. Switch on the flight control. Then we need to go to the flight plan again. Where is it? Here. And then we need to... Let's first make sure that the airplane levels out correctly. And then in the meantime, I'm gonna try to let me go for manual control because I'm not sure what it's doing. Probably it were the flaps which were still extended. So we're gonna change the selection button here, and then we're going to go and say we want to mark Nitri as active flag, because probably it wants us to follow the official, I would say, approach route. So we're gonna switch on nav mode again. Approach mode is off, as you can see. So it will start to make a left turn and a right turn. Depends on what the autopilot decides to do. Switch on modes. Nav mode is also switched on. Let's see what it's planning to do. To GPS mode again. So at the correct altitude again. It says Nitri, so that should be fine. Nav mode, switched off. This is gonna make a right turn, as you can see. So now it's a matter of waiting until we reach the Nitri. As you see, you can come into a, I would say, nasty situation if you don't follow the official instructions. I think this was a very good example of it. So let's see how we're gonna fix that piece, right? So we're gonna go to Nitri. It's 30 miles from here, and then start from using the official route, and then switching on to approach mode a little bit earlier, so we at least can intercept the glide scope. So you can see that the autopilot is pretty easy to use, but you still have to do some stuff manually, like setting the altitude and switching on different options. And also making sure that you're making the touchdown yourself. It's not that the airplane will fully automatically land. So normally I would say let's enjoy the nice view, but as you can see it's already became night. So it's pretty dark, so there's not much to see. We see besides some points of interest. So we're gonna fly to Nitri. Oh, zoom out. Yeah, Nitri is here. Let's confirm that we're using the change it because we're still using the correct one. So simply fly the flight route which we're currently at. Go to Nitri, go back over the Palm Islands via Pusvo and then DW661. Make sure that the approach mode, which we can find here, switched on, and then try it for the third time. Right? So strike 3. Normally I would say successful, but so let's see if we can do make it successful. So this view is really useful, right? Because you can see, say, it's pretty useful, especially when you're flying in the night. Because you at least can see, okay, hey, where am I? What's the scenery? Where's the, in our case, the airport? Let me decrease throttling a bit. On the right side, we can still see it. Right? So we need to go to approach.
Going to OMDB 20.4 Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra.
They will probably think, hey, there's that guy again, which tries for the third time.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra 3,000 feet.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra approach. Continue as planned. Altimeter 29.77.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra would like ILS runway ONE to approach vectors to final.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra, you are 13 miles west. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. ILS runway ONE to approach. Circle to land runway 30.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. ILS runway ONE to approach. Circle to land runway 30. Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra.
So we confirmed that we can use the ILS from runway 12. I think they still want us to land on runway 30, but I'm simply gonna land on runway 12 for now. So let's see if the aircraft will make some turns. But let's follow the official route. Let's not take the shortcut because that didn't went well last time. Air traffic control didn't like it. Here you go. As you can see on this screen, you can see that it's making some turns. not sure what it is doing, but it does look as flying a completely different direction than we should be. So let me switch off. Let me first do this. So N3 is at 254, right? So let's first request what's the heading.
Approach Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting vector to next waypoint.
Beechcraft, X-Ray Golf Sierra, turn right heading 060.
So we're gonna switch to heading mode, and we're gonna use it to, let's say, force the airplane to go in a correct mode, because it looks like it's for some reason flying the complete opposite route.
Beechcraft, X-Ray Golf Sierra, did you copy?
Turn right heading 060 Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
Not sure what it's doing currently, but looks like the autopilot is also a bit lost. So we're gonna go to N3, and then once we're there, we're gonna go to Busvo, and then we will do it from there. So
Approach Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting vector to next waypoint.
Beechcraft, X-Ray Golf Sierra, turn right heading 060.
that's pretty good. So I will go on mute, and we will meet again when we're there.
Turn right heading 060 Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra. Approach Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra requesting vector to next waypoint.
Beechcraft, X-Ray Golf Sierra, turn right heading 060.
Turn right heading 060 Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
Beechcraft, X-Ray Golf Sierra, you are 20 miles northwest of Oscar Mike Delta Whiskey. Descend and maintain 2,000 feet. Contact tower on 11.625.
So now we're good, so we're allowed to descend
Descend and
to
maintain
2000.
2,000 feet. Tower on 118.625 Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
We're gonna contact the tower. In the meantime, we need to keep an eye on this.
Tower Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra 19 miles northwest inbound ILS runway OMDW approach circle to land runway 30.
Beechcraft Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Tower. Cleared ILS runway 12 approach. Altimeter 29.78.022 at 11.
Cleared ILS runway OMDW approach Beechcraft X-Ray Golf Sierra.
So let's force the airport or the aircraft to go to the next waypoint, because for some reason it doesn't like us. So we're gonna mark this as the active lag. Switch on navigation mode. And then we will see how we end up at the correct waypoint. Almost there. You can see that it's completely lost, right? Sometimes it marks this as the active lag, sometimes it's marked this is the active lag, so looks like it's a little bit lost, just like us. So let me zoom in a bit. Zoom out a bit. As long as we're, let's say, making the correct approach, then it will be fine. Now it's there again, so it knows what to do. Zoom out a bit. So once we're at Pusvo, we will go to the next waypoint, right? So let me see if it does what it needs to do. Oh, it already picked the next one. So you can see that there's a lag between this. So what we're gonna do is, the first time when we tried this, we made simply, say, an issue where we were too late with selecting the approach button. So let's wait till it aligns correctly, which is now, right? So it turns to the left a bit, which is fine. And now we're gonna switch to approach mode to see if it can capture the glide scope. But before doing that, let's switch it off. Go to the localizer mode. Now it has done its stuff, so it's gonna align, hopefully correct this time. And you can see the glide scope turning down, right? So it's good. So once it captures the glide scope, you will see this white numbers changing normally. So let's give it a few minutes, and also we will take our own harsh corrective measurements. So it's almost there. Now it has picked it up. You can see this changes. So now it has removed the altitude and it has starting to decrease the airplane. Pretty steep, as you can see. So let's go to here. So you can see we're still switching or descending with a pretty steep, decent rate. Not sure what the plan is from the autopilot. Let's decrease speed a bit. So we're almost there. So let's switch to normal view again. Especially during the night, sometimes it's so hard to see. I think it's also due to the fact that there's no lights here on this airport. You can't see anything. See, here's the runway, so let's decrease throttling. And then it's let's say up to us to follow the instructions here. It was a little bit of a harsh landing. and then we crashed, right? So this is not the way it should go normally. I think, but not sure what went wrong, but we simply went too fast, I think, and based on that we made a crash landing. So I hope you liked this video, although this one was pretty long due to the 2 missed approaches. If you like this video, then consider to use the like button. If you got any questions or comments, then use the comment box below this video. And if you'd like to see more of these videos, hopefully with a more successful landing, then consider to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.